Hi, welcome to the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, PR, advertising, and digital professionals. We're recording episode 347 live on YouTube with my guest, TikTok star Miranda Head. Miranda is a TikTok creator partner with more than 7 million views, host of the TikTok Famous podcast, and social media manager for Flowquat. How do I pronounce that?
It's Flowcast.
Flowcast. Now, she loves to analyze the latest trends on social media, specifically TikTok, while also creating really cool cooking content for her channel at Cooking with Miranda. And if she's not whipping up something yummy in the kitchen, she's soaking up all her time with her two young sons on the beaches of Hawaii, you lucky duck. I'm excited to learn more about your TikTok success and get your pro tips. So let's just dive right in. How long have you been on TikTok?
Well, thanks, BL. Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure.
Let's see. Yeah, so I've been on TikTok since September of 2019. So right at the beginning of when it was starting to pick up the pace. It was definitely popular with the Gen Z generation, and there was hardly anybody my age. I'm considered a millennial and older. And when I first got on TikTok, I kind of was embarrassed. I was thinking to myself, where is this going to take me? Like, am I in the right spot for me? And it took off really well. And I think I attribute that to being an early adopter.
Really? So how did you learn to use TikTok?
Yeah. It's funny. I was trying to do my cooking videos, and the cooking thing is just a hobby. And I was trying to do the cooking videos with Instagram and YouTube, and I wasn't having a whole lot of success there. So when I discovered TikTok, at first I was like, this is kind of hard to use, but that's just, the learning curve of it. It's always hard to adopt a new app right from the beginning. And I'm a social media manager, so I on social media all the time. And even for me as a social media manager, I do find that the beginning stages of learning an app are always tricky, especially one that is so brand new. And there wasn't a lot of data out there on how to use it at the time.
It really still isn't.
Yeah, I guess not. So I just started playing around with the video features, and it's pretty funny. If you go look at my TikTok and go all the way back to the beginning of my first videos, I mean, it's laughable what I put out there compared to what I have now. But that's really how anyone gets to start in anything, right? Like, you just got to get your feet wet and you try new things, you try out what works and what doesn't work, and then you take what works and you go from there.
So what was really the most challenging thing about establishing all those views about getting famous on TikTok? Was it just learning the tech about it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think what was challenging at first was, okay, I discovered how the app works, and then I started picking up followers here and there. And I remember at one point I got to 1,000 followers, I think after a month being on the app. And I really didn't have a social media strategy. And so that's where I was like, I think I could gain my momentum on this app if I really bunker down and figure out a strategy and, go from there. And so it's kind of funny. I started talking to one of my best friends, and she is a graphic designer. And, she started seeing my success on TikTok, and excuse me, I'm bumbling over my words. She started her own account, and she got like 40,000 followers overnight. So there's the two of us, we're the same age, we come from the same backgrounds, and we just start talking about TikTok. Like, we call each other on the phone and be like, hey, did you figure this out? Like, how did you do this feature and this effect? And did that work for you? Because this is what worked for me. And, we started hashing out our plans with each other. And then all of a
Great to
sudden,
have that.
yeah, it was nice. And this was before the pandemic started. This was back in December of 2019. And so we decided, hey, why don't we make a podcast about this? There's nothing out there about TikTok. Let's figure it out together. So it really was just me and her going about trying out trends and, what's trending and the dances and the filters and the songs, and we just started writing it all down and talking about it and brainstorming, and then we put together our strategies and it worked for us. And so that's kind of where it led us.
So do you shoot more than one in a day, or is this a
Yeah.
one at a time thing? Because I've
Yeah.
seen like you have several where you're cooking chicken. So
Yeah.
you do all
Yeah,
your chicken on one
totally.
day and all your bacon on another?
Yeah, that is a very good social media strategy. Not even just for TikTok, for YouTube as well. And you know all about YouTube too. But when you're recording something, you get your lighting and your video and your audio set up. You might as well record as much as you
Exactly.
can, right? And then repurpose all of that. So, like when I do a cooking a chicken recipe, right? Like maybe I'll have one clip where I'm really showing how to butterfly the chicken, and then I'll talk about it in my TikTok video. And then I'll have another clip where I'm showing like the full recipe of what I made with that chicken. And then you'll do another one where you're like talking about an interesting fact about chicken.
Well, but
You can go.
tell people how long these videos are because they're startlingly short.
Yes. And the key is to have success on TikTok is the shorter the better. And it's really the optimum is between 10 and 11 seconds is the optimum length.
Seconds,
Seconds.
really? And it takes
Yes.
5 hours to produce 10 or 11 seconds. That no wonder you're successful. But so I'm very interested, given what you just said about, okay, you're already set up. What kind of equipment do you use?
Yeah. So I definitely have a tripod, a very basic tripod down there in my kitchen. And then I do have a ring light. I have oh, what is the inches on that? I'm looking at it. It's fairly big. It's definitely like maybe 18 inches. And
Oh, that's a
then
big one, yeah.
I do have a lavalier mic that I use that I'll plug into my shirt. Now, I kind of got on this rhythm of using all this equipment and cooking, and then, life catches up with you,
Yeah.
right? So I got to a point where I was like, this is not even as fun. Like the cooking part wasn't as fun for me because I was so worried about like how it's going to look on the video. And so I started to realize like, hey, I'm so consumed and so worried about the production of this video that I'm not enjoying it. Like I'll post it on TikTok and it may not even do well. And so what I started doing was just kind of forgetting all the equipment. Like if I was just going to go in my kitchen and whip up some lunch and I have like the creative juices flowing, like you don't necessarily have to have all of that equipment to make a great TikTok video. And that's what I love about the app is actually like they reward you for being more authentic and more true to yourself. And the more that I was recording like authentically fun videos for me, the success that I was seeing was equal to that.
That's really an interesting contrast to other networks. So how do you edit them? I mean, that 5 hours must be a lot of editing. What kind of apps do you use for editing, or do you edit right on TikTok?
I edit right on the app, and that's the beauty of TikTok. And when I say 5 hours, that's like if I'm doing a full, like if I'm going to get like 5 videos out of that, and I'm
Oh, okay.
including the recording in that too. So when I'm physically on the TikTok app, I'd say it takes about 30 minutes for me to produce. Now, optimal time is 10 seconds to have that video on TikTok, but you can go up to 1 minute. And what I recommend is when you start to capture a following and an audience, you use those 10 to 11 seconds to get their attention and want to follow you. And then you do continue to produce up to 60-second content to keep your followers around, right? Like you want to provide value, and you want to provide value that is definitely longer than 10 seconds. And so I will produce videos that will take up to a minute in the app. So when I edit like a 10-second video, it's probably 10 minutes. And then a minute is about 30 minutes.
And how often do you post? It looks like you post pretty frequently.
Yeah, they do recommend. So I am a part of the TikTok creators, and they do offer us some really solid advice, and they do recommend to post like at least once a day if you can.
Wow.
Now, I was doing a huge campaign back in January of this year, and I was producing 40 videos within 30 days. So that was more than one a day. And the really successful creators, they are producing 2 to 3 a day at least.
Seriously. And how long did it take to reach 7 million views?
Um, I think it took me like 8 months.
Compared to other platforms, that's not a lot.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool how quickly your videos can be viewed on TikTok. I
Well,
definitely
I've
discovered that.
been told that for TikTok, it's still the fastest place to build a large following.
I
Would you
believe it.
agree? Yeah. Do you have sponsors on your videos?
So I don't have sponsors, but I do a lot of collaborations with brands, and they'll reach out to me. They'll want to, and they actually reach out through the TikTok app. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the TikTok creator marketplace.
No, I'm not.
So it's on the app, and you have to meet a certain number of qualifications to be a part of the marketplace. But it's not like Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
It's much more of a marketplace for brands to connect with creators, and basically brands will ping you in the app, and it's a lot safer that way than, like, I used to receive a bunch of emails. But it's really hard to know, like, is this brand a legit company? Like, anybody can put together a website. But when they're going through the TikTok app, like, you get paid through the TikTok app. All the conditions are met through the TikTok app. Like, you upload the video through there. There's no, like, third party system operating. And so
And
brands will
nobody
reach out to
takes a
me.
cut of it? They don't take any cut of what you earn?
So it's hard to say. I'm sure TikTok is creating a cut. They say they don't, but who knows? And maybe they aren't, because they want their brands and their creators to stay on the app. So it's maybe a smart move for them. Um, but it's up to me, the creator and the brand, how much they're going to pay me, or what the terms are how they're going to operate.
So your TikTok is about cooking, but you have some adorable posts with your adorable children. And so how did you decide on the content that you were going to use?
Yeah. So, it's funny. My most successful video on the app is of my son. And I think that video has 3 million views at this point, or two and a
Is that where
half.
you're opening a box and he's telling you what's in it? Because that's adorable.
No, no, but thank you. No, this one is from back last summer. It was just about timing. I just happened to take a video of him and my husband doing some crazy, like almost a flip on the couch. And I set it to slow motion, and there was a trending song at the time where people were posting these slow motion videos to this really catchy song. And I posted, it was the right time. It was the exact trend. People were following the right song, and it just blew up overnight. It was pretty crazy. And yeah, so, I stuck with cooking as probably 90% of my videos, but I will have fun, and I'll try some of the funny trends and the different voiceover effects, and showing my kids, just because I want to show, like, another slice of who I am. And I think, I don't really care if those perform well. It's more just because I enjoy it, and I enjoy putting the content out there.
And
So,
that comes
um,
across. I mean,
yeah.
ways about that. That comes across. So how does the podcast TikTok Famous fit into your marketing strategy?
Yeah. So, it's hilarious, because here comes TikTok. I get on TikTok. Then I start this podcast with one of my best friends, and then that is going great. I think we have over 20,000 downloads.
Really?
We're coming up on a year in May, and we actually stopped production of some of the episodes when I went out to have my baby in October. So we haven't. That's like without 3 months of releasing episodes, and you look at the demographics of who's listening to the podcast, and I think our number 2 audience outside of the United States is Japan. And we get listeners all over the country who are just fascinated in TikTok. And we're at the time, I don't know about now, we were one of the only podcasts really discussing social media strategies for TikTok. There are a ton of TikTok podcasts that will discuss strategies, but they're not focused on TikTok. I mean, think about like your show, Beyond Social Media, you know, you're discussing all of them. So we are
Right.
pigeonholed where we only discuss TikTok, but there is a lot to talk about there. And then you're asking about the marketing of how does this all come into effect? You know, there's not really a crossover with my Cooking with Miranda TikTok and my podcast. However, I think that I was able to get my current job, my full-time job, because of my TikTok and my podcast separately. So I have
Yes, I
both of
want
those
to
to
ask
attribute.
you about that. Okay. How did you get that job? They sought you out.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually was listening to a podcast with the CEO on the show of this podcast, the CEO of the company I work for, which is called Flowcast. It's a accounting automation software service based out of Los Angeles. Did I say that right? Accounting automation. Yes. And you know, I reached out to him on LinkedIn. So here's another social media.
Yeah.
And I just sent him a message and I said, hey, like I love listening to your episode on this podcast. And one day I hope to move back to Los Angeles and just go Dodgers because I knew he was a huge Dodgers fan. And then he wrote back right away and he was like, hey, we've got actually a social media position opened up like ASAP. Are you interested? And so, you know, it's funny. I wasn't actually looking for a job at that point. And I went ahead and did the interview and our, you know, opportunities, they both lined up and now I'm working for them full time. Uh-oh. I think
What do
the
you do
audio.
for them? I know you do YouTube. Do you do all of their social media?
Yes, correct. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then I started a TikTok for them. And yeah, we're experimenting with it all.
I was listening to your podcast, which is TikTok famous, and I listened to an episode where you talked about people getting down on you about your instructions for discarding bacon grease, which brings up the subject of trolls. Are trolls a big problem on TikTok?
Yeah, it's funny because I would say a year ago, we actually on our podcast were saying how we never saw trolls on the app. And I think that's just naturally what happens the more an app gets popular and the more downloads and people are joining. There are going to be trolls. And unfortunately, I was trolled in a recent video of mine where I was showing how to get rid of bacon grease. And I had no idea there was so many like diehard opinions about bacon grease
Who would
disposal.
have thunk
And
it? Yeah.
a lot of it were from people from the South who were like, don't get rid of that, you know? And I'd had a lot of people saying, oh, you're obviously not from the South, which is funny because I am from Texas. But yeah, like, and at the time, like, you know, you just got to let it roll off your back because you're just here to have fun, you know? And at least I am.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel like if people are trolling you, like then they're not happy in their own life and you just got to move forward. I do think though that if someone is telling you something and a lot of people agree with it, like it is something worth considering, like, hey, is there like value in that and what should I do to maybe fix that, especially if it's something egregious. But bacon grease, like, come on.
So back to the job with the accounting firm. How did you convince them to try TikTok?
Yeah, so they kind of just left it in my ballpark, you know, like they're like, hey, you're the expert on social media, especially TikTok. So if you think we should start one, let's do it. And, you know, I did start one and I'm still figuring out that social media strategy there because we're an accounting software company. You know, that's not the primary following. That's not what people are primarily following on TikTok. But it's not to say you can't have fun with it. There's plenty of companies out there that are really creative on the app and are making really excellent content.
So in what ways do you think TikTok is helpful for business? Because I wonder about that. It seems to me that it could be, not just in terms of advertising, but in terms of
Yeah.
content.
Yeah. So, you know, you got business as a whole. Like there's brands that are selling something to consumers and the strategy there, I think, is to totally just go after the creators and have them talk about your product on their page. And, that's just influencer marketing. And then you have brands that aren't selling, like we're a software as a service company. So that wouldn't work for us. But, with those types of companies, like you can, it's all about brand awareness on the app. And especially with TikTok being primarily Gen Z, like there's nothing wrong with getting your brand out in front of all the people in that age range, because one day they will be looking at buying your product. They will be in a position where they're going to be at a company shopping around B2B. And if they grow up with seeing that brand name, then it's going to be easy for you.
So what's your strategy for them?
Yeah. So again, it's more about brand awareness and, showing that we are a fun, we're a software as a service, but we are personable. We have a personality. We're not just like
Humanizing
accountants,
them.
but yeah, humanizing the company. And that's what anyone really should do on any social media channel, is humanizing your brand, your company. Nobody is going to pay attention. And that's why, like on LinkedIn, I know we're not talking about LinkedIn, but when you see on LinkedIn, you'll see some of the same stuff over and over about people promoting their company. And it starts to get like, what is the word? Just, you start to, it's like
Boring.
a fog. Yeah, it's boring. And what's great about TikTok, it's total opposite, right? From LinkedIn. So you're allowed to be fun. You're allowed to be creative and try new things and do a crazy dance or make fun of something that, in all good and fun. And it's totally acceptable. If you brought that over to LinkedIn, people are gonna be like, what are you doing?
Right, exactly. So can you think of some businesses that are doing a good job on TikTok?
Yeah, let me think about that.
I mean, I found my food delivery service, Imperfect Foods, on Instagram. I haven't seen them on TikTok, but it would be such a logical thing for them to
Oh,
be with
anything with
you.
food.
Yeah.
Anything with food should be on TikTok. Anything visual like that. Like TikTok is the best app for those brands. There's, not necessarily a company in mind, but I do follow a really some really excellent Excel tip accounts, which is fascinating to think, like something so boring as Excel, like, and these accounts have like 500,000 followers. So
Well,
it's
Excel is
really,
hard. If somebody will help you learn how to do
yeah,
things, it's great. I
yeah,
see
anything that
you've
can
got
teach you.
some. Yeah, you've got
Yeah,
some.
anything. Yeah, I do a lot of Excel videos for our Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. But yeah, I think that if you're going to provide educational value, if there's anything you can do by providing that education to someone, that is a great way to do it on TikTok. People love how-to videos, and they soak all that stuff up. So there is one I'm thinking of, and I forget the name, but it's for a newspaper. It's a small newspaper out of some city, and they just started one, and they did a really funny video where they were showing how a company goes from like startup to IPO, and it's just like this like funny 60 seconds of all of the phases in between. And it's just one guy. He probably, works at the newspaper, and he's part of their creative department, but now I think they have a really pretty good following. I'll try to find that account for you and
Yeah,
send
I'd
it
love
to
to
you so you can
see
put in the
that.
notes.
So, do you have any tips for businesses that are starting out on TikTok?
Yeah, definitely be authentic to your brand, right? Like I've said that, I say that on my podcast all the time. Like you have to be not just authentic to yourself, but to your brand. Figure out what is your tone? What do you want people to walk away from watching your videos knowing about your company? And not just knowing, but like that sense of, it's like when you meet a friend, like, oh, I like this friend because she's funny. She makes, everyone in the room smile, like she's extroverted, whatever. Like what are the traits that you want people to think of about your company when they finish watching your videos and your content? And then other tips are, again, honing in on what kind of value can you bring in your videos to the consumer. And it's more about like getting that brand awareness. It's not about like, here's my product, look at my product, buy my product. No, like
Yeah.
that's a terrible way to go. I mean, we're all marketers, we know that.
Yeah.
But so TikTok is the same way. It's more like catch their attention, be fun, have a good time, follow a trend. You know, there's thousands of trends on TikTok happening every day,
How do
and
you
these
find the
trends,
trends?
oh, it's very easy. You just go to your Discover page on TikTok and you can scroll through. They have all the trending sounds and all the trending hashtags. And usually the trending hashtags are accompanied with some kind of challenge. So, for example, you know, I can pull up on my TikTok right now and I can tell you today what the trending hashtag is 2018 versus 2021. There's a hashtag, it's our home. So people showing home decor and home projects. There's hashtag DIY projects.
Oh,
And
sure.
anytime I post a video on TikTok, I always check the Discover page to see what is trending. Does my video fit in any of these categories? Likely it will fit in at least one of them. And then that's how you can jump on that trend. You don't necessarily have to produce a video geared towards a trend, because TikTok, you know, it changes every day. I mean, it's not as variable as Twitter is, right? But it's not as long lasting as LinkedIn. So TikTok, you don't want to spend a week on a video, making a video and then posting it to a trend, because that trend probably not happening anymore. So if you are going to, you know, upload a video that is not necessarily following a specific trend, you likely will fit into one of the hashtags that is on the Discover page.
So, is there a way that you recommend for learning how to use the tools of TikTok? I know that they put up a creator academy recently, and what I found when I went to the webinar that they had was that everybody talked so fast I couldn't understand what they were saying. And I guess they're used to making quick videos or something, but it seems pretty
Yeah.
complicated.
You're probably right. We're all going to leave this pandemic like talking totally different than we used to, because we're going through computers and phones. And yeah, that's a really good point. You know, the best way to learn on TikTok is to just watch TikTok videos. I mean, that seems so simplistic to say, but it's 100% the best way to learn, because if you go watch some kind of academy video or recording, it's most likely outdated information, because like I said, TikTok is very
Changes every
much on like what's
day.
happening today. So when you watch on your phone the latest videos, you just spend 30 minutes a day watching TikTok videos, like the ones that you like, because then the algorithm will continue to show you more of what you like. So if you're a company that, let's say you're selling like you're in gardening, like gardening tools, you probably should be following gardener content, right? Because then TikTok will show you more of that. And then when you start posting your video will likely be pushed out to those same audiences, because TikTok has that video AI just like YouTube does. Sorry, I feel like I just totally went on a tangent. What was your original question on that?
My question was about learning the tools, but your advice is really
Yeah.
so strong and so good. And that is what I tell clients all the time about any social channel is look and listen. You know, don't just jump in there, just see. And also the rule of thumb, I think, for social media is 11 to 1. 11 times you know, you like somebody else's thing, 11 times you comment on somebody else's thing, and one time you talk about yourself. And I think
Ah,
that if you do that, you're going to build a following. You know, that's
yes.
what you're
And
basically saying is look and listen and then try it.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because another powerful tool on the app is commenting on people's videos, because comments can go viral as well. In fact, one of my comments did go viral on one of Britney Spears, like the Britney Spears, on her video. I commented something and I mean, I still, that was like 7 months ago. And I still to this day get notifications about people responding to my comment or liking it too.
Wow.
It's another way to go visible, especially with brands, companies, because then people are seeing this company commenting and they're like, oh, that's a real person. Someone's talking from that company. Like that makes it more interesting.
Absolutely. So at one time, Snap was offering, and not too long ago, they were offering millions of dollars to people who were going viral on their platform. Did you ever try Snap?
Snapchat?
Yeah.
No, I'm not really a Snapchat person. That's actually the one social media that I am not a part of.
So I met you in a course about YouTube. And so how long have you been making YouTube videos?
Yeah, so YouTube, it's funny. I actually started my YouTube channel when TikTok started having a lot of negative awareness about the app of possible security concerns with China.
Hmm.
And I actually deleted my TikTok for about 5 months from July last year till November of last year.
Really?
And I did. Yeah, I was actually kind of worried about those security threats. And so I got back on the app once the company started being bought by, I think they're being bought by Oracle right now. I think that's still in the works. Anyway, so I started building up my YouTube channel there because I was like, hey, well, if I'm going to keep producing cooking content, I need somewhere to produce it. And that's when I started with YouTube. But you know what? Like YouTube to me is so much harder than TikTok. Like I love how easy TikTok is. You can edit right in the app, you post it, like everything is done on your phone right there. YouTube, like you have to go buy the special camera, you have to have the lighting and the sound and then you post it and it's like it's this dark
And
web
their
of like
editing is so clunky. I mean, they used to have a much better editing ability than they do now, but it's really clunky. And, for example, like I paused this recording in the middle when we had a little technical difficulty. I'm going to have to go in and edit that. I would not do that on
I'm
YouTube
sorry.
because no, it's not a problem. I mean, it's not a problem at all. So I really appreciate your giving all this really wonderful advice because
Yeah.
I'm in the process of learning TikTok. I haven't tried it yet. I'm looking and listening, and I just learned so much listening to you today, and I know our listeners are going to love it too. So I just have a couple of questions for you. Like, is there a skill you wish you could learn instantly?
Ooh, yes. I wish I could learn how to fly like a plane.
A plane. Oh, okay. Not with your
Yeah.
arms.
No.
And what do you do when you're not working? You must be
um,
working all the time, given all the stuff you're doing.
yeah, yeah. Well, other than cooking, I have my two sons and we live here in Hawaii. So we're always at the beach or we're always hiking. We're always in the pool. We're always outside. So
Such a
just trying to
beautiful
soak up.
place. How did you end up
Yeah.
in Hawaii if you're from Texas?
Well, my husband is in the military. We're stationed here. We're very lucky to be stationed here, but our
Wow.
time is not infinite. We move this year. So that's why I say we're soaking it up as much as we can.
Oh, wow. So what else would you like people to know about you? Is there anything I missed in this conversation?
Oh, thank you. No, I think that you hit everything that I could ever hope for. I mean, if you are interested in learning about TikTok, you are more than welcome to listen to our podcast, TikTok Famous, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also email us at tiktokfamouspodcast@gmail.com. And then if you have any like direct questions for me about TikTok or any social media, you can direct message me on Instagram at Cooking with Miranda.
I will include all of your contact links in the show notes and,
Okay.
make sure that people know to do that. But you really, you have been very generous with your information. And I think people are really going to be happy to hear what you have to say because I do think you've mastered TikTok in a big way.
Well, thank you, BL. It was very nice to meet you back in the YouTube summit and
Yeah.
to hear from you now. And I'm very glad to be on the show.